I know you had a couple of questions as well. So like, this would be a good opportunity to help like, clear it up.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to like hear the story of like, behind the scenes, what's the story of Aptos Build? Like, when did you start working on it? It used to be called API Gateway. Why did you change that? Well, just give me the whole thing and like who has been mainly working on it. Because for me, like I may have questions later on, and I'm just building a story of this because storytelling is really important for basically everything. So tell me the story of it, even if it doesn't go in our docs, like just give me the background.
Yeah, for sure. So, hey, Ryan, I remember you from our TG channel. I'm Jing.
Yeah. Hello. How are you guys?
Yeah, also known as Winter Toro, the sushi. That's my crypto name. Tippy was just asking us about the origin story of Build, like the Genesis story. So I was just about to start sharing that. So, originally when Aptos, like hit mainnet, we obviously needed a way for people to be able to access the blockchain. So the most simple version of that was we were providing APIs to the Aptos full node and the Aptos indexer. And this was just done on a per IP like rate limiting way. But, over time, this became like, a bit inundated, by a good problem, right? Our ecosystem was growing. We had more and more users. Like the system was starting to come under a pretty significant amount of load. And that's kind of how we created the precursor of Aptos Build, which was the API gateway. So it used to be called that. And so after we did that, we realized that, hey, actually, there was a real need in the ecosystem for infra abstraction, meaning like from just like talking to a lot of developers, we found that devs really care about creating good user experiences for their users. Infra, in some ways, is a bit of a necessary evil, where you need to have good infra to have that good user experience. But good infra is not necessarily, the passion project, so to speak, of those developers, right? They much rather care about their users and create those great user experiences. So we thought, like, what if we can make building as easy as possible? Meaning we can make infra as easy as possible and enable as much of an infra abstraction so that, folks, when they want to build a dApp, they're not thinking about how many, servers to provision and things like that, right? They can just like, hey, here's an API key. Here's how you can safely manage your API access, monitor your usage, have the ability to trust that this is production grade infra, and then just like focus on building for your users. So that was kind of like the genesis story, right? And obviously we started fairly simply with the sort of API keys, and then through like just discussing with devs, we found out that, hey, people care about no code indexing, because the uniqueness of Move means that like folks really benefit from a custom processor for their custom smart contracts, but it's not easy to spin up a custom processor. Again, there's a lot of infra involved. So we're like, hey, what if we can do it such that someone can spin up a custom processor with zero code, right? The ability to like, map it to a smart contract and be like, okay, here are the objects we care about. And then ta-da, you have a custom processor. Internally, it was super useful even for our internal teams, right? We used to have independent, sort of processors like being managed by separate teams. Like folks would have to kind of reach out to the processor team to get processors spun out. But with this, like whenever we create like sort of demo apps or experiences, I think it took less than 5 minutes now. So we've really reduced something that used to take like 2 to 3 hours or even more down to like a 5-minute process. And then a gas station came about because one of the biggest problems in Web3 is user onboarding. Like if you have a brand new Aptos account, like to even be able to sort of do your first transaction, you need some gas. Where do you get gas from? If I'm brand new to Web3, I would have no idea. So I think like gas station allowed developers to create experiences that really just immediately onboard users who could be able to kind of interact with the app without any sort of like, thinking about gas and things like that. They can immediately start experiencing it and then kind of start their Web3 journey. And obviously, we are cooking up more and more tools and features to really like hone in on how can we enable developers to do like unique things in their apps, or to make unpleasant things more easy in their apps, right? So then they can really focus on that user experience, and then they can find that, hey, building on Aptos is really, really easy. So I guess that's the genesis story, Tippy. Like, and how do you feel about that?
Love it. Yeah. For me, I'm thinking about it kind of is like a two birds, one stone, where like it not only was useful internally, but you started discovering that like new devs or projects can just start quick for free. They don't have a lot of users. They're starting at 5 minutes rather than 3 hours for that one thing. And they don't really want good infra, but they don't want to spend all the time building on it when they want to make these good user experiences, right? They want to focus. But like a scaled app, they're able to get production ready infra super quick and just hand over your credit card, and now you don't have to think about that stuff. We got you kind of thing, right? Yeah. So I mean, I guess there might be some questions in the chat I just saw. But I wanted to like zoom in a little bit about gas station and like maybe hear what it's based on a native capability of Aptos's Move language or yeah, I've seen it with fee signer, right? Like, and there's baked in things. So how much of gas station is just unlocked by the way that Aptos does things, and how much of it is like explainable architecture that we could just sort of hand wave some of the details, but like see what it's doing. Like, what would it take to build a gas station for your, like, say your hackathon project? You want the users to have that seamless, no money in my wallet experience of like, okay, I installed Petra Wallet or I logged in with Google. Now I want to use the app, but I can't because I don't have any gas. So like, well, in one hackathon project, we built it where we had a server and had the private keys, and then every time a user logged in with their wallet, it sent that information to the server. The server did a transaction and airdropped them a tiny bit of money, and so that a test net so that they could do it. But that was the whole thing. So yeah, I'm wondering if anybody would share sort of that high level, and then maybe zoom in on and share your screen and draw boxes on the screen or something.
Daniel, you want to take that?
I can talk about that. So I guess there are a few things there. Starting at the end and working back, I guess, like, if you want to make a gas station for a project, the easiest way is to just use Aptos Build, right? Yeah, you can, like, there's nothing about Aptos Build's gas station that's sort of exclusive. Like, anyone could roll their own version of a gas station, but I guess I'll get to why that's sort of difficult with all of the extra features we've got in place. So I mean, like, I believe you've seen these, but like integrating the Aptos Build gas station is pretty easy. Like, we added support to like our wallet adapter and our TypeScript SDK and stuff like that for like plugins essentially. So you just create your gas station client, provide it to your Aptos client, and then every time it submits a transaction, it will submit a transaction instead to the gas station, and then it will submit the transaction after having signed it with the fee payer, right? And that's all happens under the hood for you. So you don't need to like learn how to use like a new client or anything like that. It's all just this plugin system. So like the way it works essentially is it's just like a multi-signer, right? So if I submit a transaction and I want it to be signed by a fee payer, I create my transaction payload. I indicate that, yeah, I'm happy for it to be sponsored by a fee payer, submit that to the fee payer, and then the fee payer will co-sign saying, yes, I'm happy to pay gas for this. When that transaction then makes its way to the actual blockchain and it gets propagated up to the validators, in the prologue, they will verify that these signatures are legit, make sure that the fee payer has sufficient gas, things like that. And then if everyone's happy, then yeah, like the transaction will be executed, everything will proceed as normal, but the gas will come out of the fee payer instead of the primary person's account. But that's sort of like, that's the extent of what it provides, right? So if you actually look at the Aptos Build gas station, it provides like a variety of other features, right? Like, yes, that functionality exists, but generally speaking, when someone has a gas station, they want to be sort of protective of their funds, right? You don't want to just deploy a gas station that will say, yeah, I'll sign that to like every single transaction. Otherwise, that would just get abused and instantly drained. So traditionally, people want to put a variety of rules in place, like, I'm only willing to sign transactions for these functions, or I want to make people complete reCAPTCHA before they do it. Like if it's coming from a front end, and that way we can help prevent abuse. Maybe I want to limit the parameters of the gas, like how much gas a single transaction could take up. I might want to put in, we have the notion of gas-based rate limiting. So you could say, like, for this function, I'm willing to sponsor like 1 APT worth of gas every 24 hours or something. And then it'll get like rate limited beyond that. So all of those features, like that, I guess that's the additional magic sauce that the Aptos Build gas station provides. And it makes it much like safer to sort of put your trust in exposing something that will cost you money over the internet, right? Like if you're running your own gas station sort of just like in a backend context, and like it's not being interacted with from like a web UI or like a dApp, then you often don't need as much of this magic. But generally speaking, like the reason you want to use gas stations is for user onboarding, and you want people to use your site without having to have gas. So
all right, you did great without drawing a single box on the screen. But I mean, there's a lot there. Like, what is a prologue? I can guess what it is because it's a cool name, but like, it's a professional log, or would it be the other version of prologue, which is like the pre-log for a book? But like you're saying, it submits it as it submits another transaction to a multi-signer, or like, that's how someone would build their own, is kind of what you were saying there.
I suppose like either way, that's sort of how it works. I can try to diagram this out a bit.
Yes. I'm going to take screenshots.
Okay. So,
yes.
So this is our user. I always use this guy for my user. So
is that Bob?
This is Bob, sure. So they go to the dApp, right? They do something on the website, and then the website will submit a transaction sort of on the user's behalf, right? They want to submit a transaction for the user. So what happens here is like, the user will have some sort of wallet. This could be like Petra, it could be Aptos Connect, whatever, right? So user will click on button on the app, e.g. transfer, I don't know, like swap USDC for APT or something, right? And like maybe this is Panora, and Panora wants to sponsor gas for this. So the dApp will then say like, hey, to the wallet, I want the user to like sign this transaction, right? They go to the wallet then goes back to the user and says, hey, the dApp has proposed this transaction. Here are the details. Like, it's calling this function, it's going to change these things, and it'll like do a simulation for that. Are you happy to approve that? The user says, yes, I'm super happy to approve that. I can add some lines here as well. So
this is like when I'm using gas station and it's working, it says transaction cost 0 APT. But sometimes it says 0.00043, and then you're like, wait a second, it's not gas stationing. So that's happening.
So what we're talking about here is, I guess, like first I'm just talking about like the normal flow, no gas station. Right?
Yes.
So in this universe, when the wallet asks if the user wants to approve this, it will say like, hey, this is going to cost some gas, right? If the user says yes, then the wallet will submit that transaction to the blockchain. Blockchain full node. I won't get into like what happens after this. It's like, you know, propagated to the validators, blah, blah, blah. But let's not worry about that for now. So the way this can work with a gas station is when, like, let's say the dApp wants to use a gas station, it will propose a transaction, but with the fee payer will be true, right? In this case, they're saying like, hey, we're going to submit that transaction to a fee payer, and they're going to be the one paying for the gas. At this time, though, we don't actually need to know who the fee payer is going to be. It's just sort of the user saying like, yeah, I'm only willing to like approve this transaction if I'm not paying any gas, right? So the wallet will propose this to the user. The user will see like the same simulation, but no gas fee. So assuming then that the dApp or the wallet have been configured with the gas station plugins that I was just talking about, what will happen instead is we'll go to the gas station. And then the gas station will send it to the full node. So the gas station, when it receives the transaction, it will do a variety of other checks, right? So it's sort of got its own database, its own Redis cache for checking things like, you know, is this function approved? Approved function, question mark? Or, you know, rate limit, okay. And then other things like it could talk to Google and say, is this recapture good, whatever. Do all of these checks. And then if everything's happy, then we submit it to the blockchain. We sign it and then submit it to the blockchain and it'll pay for gas. That thing I was talking about with the prologue, essentially, I don't know that much about it either, but the way transactions work is there's a prologue where we do like a variety of checks before we run the transactions entry function. Like, you know, do you have enough gas and stuff like that? Are the signers legit, whatever. Then we run the core function. And then there's an epilogue that does some other cleanup, but I don't really know about it. There's some docs that I can link that will explain that better.
It's very poetic though.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, that's like a TLDR of how the gas station works.
Love it. Yeah, that more or less aligned with what I was imagining when you were running it through before, but this is a great screenshot for the docs. Just put it right in there. Yeah, I think so. Like to do this, you guys, like in a nutshell, if I wanted like the super short TLDR on the Learn site or something like that, I could show them with fee payer : true, really big, and be like, that's like, this is the key for gas station, and just go to build, set it up, or look at this screenshot. Do you want to build all this?
Well, exactly. And like, I guess like another nice thing to call out is that if you're using this like gas station plugin system, you also don't even need to think about with fee payer is true. Like the SDK will handle setting that on your behalf. So like literally all you should need to do is just like set up that gas station client and then provide it to the Aptos client, and then everything will work out of the box.
Do you have any good example code with a plugin written that you could just walk us through really quickly? Is that allowed?
Actually, I do actually, because I recorded, I don't know if you saw my like gas stations in 92 seconds video or whatever it was.
I did. That was you.
That was me. That was me.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't put myself in the video for that one. Yeah, I can show you some code real quick. I'll just show you the code I use for that. I've been gradually expanding my my chess example.
Yeah, if you could take slightly longer than 92 seconds on it, that would be also great.
Yeah.
because yeah, there's something really important about speed and just being as quick as possible. And then I found that some people like a deep dive, and that it helps going slower helps them form a more cohesive understanding of a thing. Yeah, let's queue up questions. Agreed.
Okay, so where are we? So it's really pretty straightforward. So, you know, your mileage will vary here on how useful this is, depending on how your like front end is set up. But essentially, like in this DApp, we have this global state that has things that we use everywhere, like an Aptos client, for example. I can zoom in even more. There we go. So it looks pretty much exactly like how it looks in the docs. So we create this gas station client, right? And all you need to really provide it is what network you're working with and the API key that you get from the Aptos Build web UI, right? And we use this API key to sort of figure out like who are you when you're making these requests and route it to the appropriate like gas station. Then to indicate that you want to use this gas station, you have these plugin settings. And one of these plugins is a transaction submitter. So you say, I want to use this gas station as my transaction submitter instead of the default transaction submitter where it goes straight to the node. And then I build my client, right? And then from that point on, every time I submit a transaction using this Aptos client, it will go via the gas station. Now, in the example where like there's a wallet involved, there's also another step you need to do here is like you need to use this wallet adapter thing. And it works pretty much the same way. Like there's a transaction submitter that you can provide. And this function is, it's essentially just getting the transaction submitter that we created here. So it's the same vibe. It's saying like, if I want to like ask a user to sign a transaction and then submit it, let's not submit it to the node. We'll submit it to the gas station instead. And the wallet adapter handles all of that. And that's sort of literally it. Like there's nothing else.
Wait, where is it? No. So first of all, this is how we should going forward be coding it, right? Because like the AI keeps on wanting to make it not like that. And yeah, zooming in on trying to find out where and why it works the other way.
Yeah, so like
But
the
you
old
can
school way of doing
specify
this was like the old school way of doing it was like you would build your payload and like with this client you can do things like gas station client dot like sign and submit transaction, right? Where you are sort of responsible for submitting it via the gas station. But like I think this plugin system's way easier because you just got to like provide the plugin in a few spots and then like the SDK and the wallet adapter will use the gas station on your behalf. The gas station client, I mean. But yeah, potentially the AI doesn't really know about this. This is like fairly new.
Are we allowed to talk about the MCP that we're working on?
Thing.
Is it a secret? I mean, let's just say there's projects where we're
We can talk about it.
yeah. I mean, it's something where like is there any like when we go forward and have that I'm basically noticing we have to remove any other way of we like have to sort of have an opinion in the MCP and maybe also be providing like I don't understand why. So why would anybody else want? In what case is it better to do it the other way, where you're like defining the whole, like maybe in some of these specific unique use cases where like some transactions are sponsored and some are not, or is that all taken care of if you're doing it correctly with plugin, or like for some, you know, I don't know.
I think so for starters, there's sort of no reason why you would do it another way. Like if for some reason you're not using the SDK, then yeah, you'll have to like sort of roll it yourself. If you're, let's see, do I have a good example here? We also have support for like, if you want to, you know, not use the fee payer for a particular transaction, you can also do that. So you could say like transaction submitter null, and this means like don't use the transaction submitter that was configured.
Got it.
And it's sort of described here. Like you can
Right.
set the null to ignore any configured transaction submitter.
All right. So that's the unlock for like maybe a special use cases. If you're running front end logic or server logic to say, hey, if this user has completed this many quests in blob-de-bloop or holds this NFT, then let's give them sponsored transactions. But if not, they got to pay their own way. Dag nabbit. You could, that's how you would do it.
Yeah, this is how you would do it on the front end. You would also have to have like backend logic sort of handling this. Often like one good way to do that, since like you don't have your own backend, right? When you submit a transaction, the gas station will simulate that transaction first before submitting it. And by default, it will not submit the transaction if it would fail. Otherwise, like failed transactions still cost gas, but they don't do anything. So you generally don't want to do that. So, you know, if your function, like maybe your function can only be called by certain users or like when certain conditions are met, and it will fail other times. This is sort of a natural protection for that, right? So like you can encode some of your logic of how the gas station should work on chain as well. And like, you know, in the chess example, a really easy example is like, I only want to sponsor transactions for people when it's their turn to make a move, right? If it's not their turn, the move module is going to reject them, saying like, hey, it's not your turn, and the transaction will fail, and then therefore the simulation will fail, and therefore we won't sponsor it.
Perfect. That's a perfect example of like, as the business, I know for a fact that I don't want to be paying for other people's dumb choices in that situation, right? Like it's not your turn. Don't force the transaction through and cost me gas money.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it. I have not seen the chess example. So is this something that it's an existing finished thing? Where you don't have your API key hard coded in there and stuff?
No, it's fine. This has been live for years. I've just been gradually augmenting it with things like no code indexing and like gas station. But yeah, you could play a game of chess with someone right now if you wanted. Is
it safe to leave your Aptos build keys in your front end?
Yeah, this is something of an open question. Generally, yes. Like the point of why we have all of these protections in place for gas station is so you can put it in the front end. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a very useful tool, right? So like, you know, for example, my gas station here, I've configured it saying like, okay, only approve transactions for these chess functions, right? And my logic is such that, you know, like the transactions will fail if they're not valid anyway, right? If I was more paranoid, I could then put in more checks like, okay, only these people are allowed to play chess or whatever. You know, this is not like a golden example because I've only got this deployed on testnet right now, and testnet APT is, you know, free. So, but yeah, so like same thing with like regular API keys. Like we have some protections where you can say, okay, I'll only approve requests coming from these origins or this like Chrome extension. I'll only approve up to like this many compute units per IP address. Yeah, and we're thinking about some more stuff for that too.
Cool. Yeah, thank you for that deep dive. I have forked your repo now, and I will check it out.
Yeah, feel free to check it out. Sorry about I've become better at front end coding, but this was years ago, so it's sort of shit. But you know, there's some useful stuff in there.
Did you hand code this? Hand jam it?
I did. I mean, this is ancient, my man. Like Cursor didn't exist back then.
I know, it's wild.
This is from March 2023.
Back when we had to Photoshop celebrity images and type everything by hand.
I know, the dark ages.
Dark ages. There is some great shift that is like, if you learn coding like now, you do it so differently than if you did when I started. I learned when I was a kid a little bit, but like I focused on it like right around COVID start, and because I was like, I can't be a Lyft driver. We're going to be replaced by robots, and I need to do something. What has America got? Oh, internet. Good. I'll get on the internet and learn stuff. So you do it with the YouTube and the tutorials, the free code camp, and you just grind projects and hackathons. And then at a certain point, it's like, uh-oh, is this bad? Am I like everything I'm building is terrible and looks, but you get feedback, and then you discover people like Lex who are like brilliant designers, or maybe Jing. Did you come up with the whole Aptos vibe yourself? Is that you?
Yeah, that was me and my good friend Cursor.
Yeah. Well, whose idea was the look of it?
Actually, Cursor. I said to Cursor, hey, give me something black and white and cool. It generated that, so that was pretty fun.
Nice. Yeah, I love a good surprise AI who did it this way.
No, thanks for the great questions. And Daniel, I feel like I now learned about gas station in a whole new way.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, maybe we can slice and dice some of this content into
yeah, for sure.
marketing content. Yeah.
I'm gonna use this for lots of little smaller pieces. I saw Ryan joined. Ryan, I think we were helping you with some questions in TG. This is an AMA, so I don't know if you had any other questions that we can maybe help with. Or am I putting Ryan on the spot?
putting Ryan on the spot. I know you're using no code indexing, so like if you if you've got any questions about that, we're all ears.
Hello, can you hear me, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm kind of new to all of these, the era using Aptos and Web3 development and everything. So we are creating a G-app that's frequently making API calls, and we have set up a no-code indexer and everything. But we have noticed that there is very high credit usage. So if there is any suggestions or tips, how can we have the optimal setup for the credit usage, and what kind of users can we expect for a medium size, like there is no high traffic? Again, I'm kind of new, so I'm learning a lot of things as I go.
No, that's cool. I mean, like I saw your question in the chat as well. I mean, it sort of sounds like you're doing everything right. Like, using no code indexing instead of the events table, for example. Like polling the API is pretty standard practice. Yeah, like streaming endpoint. Like it all sounds pretty good to me. Are you seeing like what kind of credit usage are you seeing?
I'm not sure if this is because we early started using the events table, but like we had $500 in credit, we finished it in 1 week, so I'm not sure why that happened.
Okay, that is quite a lot.
Yeah.
What's the name of your org? Is it Ryan? Is it your email? I think I see it. Yeah.
It's Code and Ledger.
Sorry?
It's Code and Ledger. I'm using right now my personal email, but
can you spell your org name to us?
Okay, 1 second. I can give you my organization on Aptos Build, which is
Because I found your personal one. That one is very low. That one's only.
Yeah. We switched to that one because we experienced high usage with the other one, so we are testing on my personal account. But there are another one.
Oh yeah, what's the other one called?
1 second.
Oh, Code and Ledger. Okay, I see it. Okay, yeah, you did hit the 500 already.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of compute unit usage.
Yeah,
have you checked out the site as of like yesterday? Because we have like a bunch of metrics there now.
Yeah, I checked them out this morning. and I will take a better look right now. So I just wanted to know, for example, in a week, how much do you think normally a production the app would consume credits or something, so just to compare or have an idea if you are doing things right or something?
I mean, obviously, yeah, it depends on your traffic. I mean, we see like sometimes products on Aptos will use like more than this. Like it could end up being like $5,000 to $10,000 a month. But those are for only like the most used things on Aptos. So if you're still in like testing, like it's sort of surprising that your usage is so high.
Yeah.
We can
But
troubleshoot with you offline because I think we'll
Yeah.
need to deep dive into the back end and look at what's causing this. So now we know which one it is, so that's helpful. So we'll flag it, and then we'll look at it, and then we'll reach out to you.
okay, that will be great. Thank you so much.
Sergey, I think you have a question. I see in the chat.
Yeah, I can just
Yeah, you can just answer it.
yeah, I can answer it. Yeah, can I use a wallet provider with and without a gas station? Oh yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I think probably the best way to do it is essentially what I talked about before, where you could say like transaction submitter is null. And you could like conditionally set that or not based on a previous check you've done, whether the user has APT or not. That could be one way to do it. I guess you could use like different like wallet providers, like in different scopes of your app or whatever. Like you could configure a different provider based on whether the user has balance or not. We also do have support for like you can toggle like at a client level, you can also like toggle the transaction submitter, like the custom gas station transaction submitter on and off. That could also work. So there's a few different ways. I guess like I can send you some code pointers later about how you might do that.
Hi. Yes, it will be great if you send a snippet of code for this solution for this question.
Yeah, for sure. I'm happy to.
Thank you. I think it's a great tool, and it helps a lot our customers, our users to onboard on Aptos gas station. Great.
Sweet. Sergey. Sergey Silkov. Yeah, I see you in Telegram. I'll send you some code pointers. And I guess this is also a good thing to put in our docs, actually. So maybe I'll put them in the docs. Yeah.
Report. I was
It
gonna
is
say,
okay.
would you just put it in the shared Slack channel? I'll take care of it if you want.
Okay, cool. Okay, then yeah, I'll write up some of the code snippets, and then TP can help me out with the docs.
Yeah, we'll async, and then maybe if I have follow-up questions, that way we'll just get them merged in. And this would be good to check in the RAG chat bot as well, because Sergey's question was like an exact point of like, sometimes you don't want to pay for the gas, and then if you're trying to figure that out, it's a whole thing unless you're doing the plug-in way. You just make that stuff null. So that's another like one-liner. I'm trying to figure out like what are the one-liners with pair : true, and then what is it? Transactions submitted transaction null.
Yeah, exactly. Transaction submitter null. Yeah, exactly.
No, we gotta get those little one-liners.
Yeah. I think some of this is actually mentioned in the README for the package as well, but we should put them in the docs.
Nice. Cool. Any other questions?
I see. Oh. What does count for a token in the network? You hear Renee? This seems like your area of expertise.
Yeah, I'm here. What's the question?
In the chat.
It's in the chat, yeah.
What's the ideal way to get the holders count for a token in the network? So we have the indexer API, which gets you the owner of a token. But it seems like what you're trying to do is aggregate the number of owners or the number of people who held the token in the full history of the token. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So using the indexer API is not an efficient way to query this kind of aggregate data. You can do it, but the query is gonna be really slow. So we actually have another API called the Analytics API, which allows you to query more of like the aggregate type of data. I don't know if this is supported, but I think it should be. So let me double check us on that. Yeah, I can get back to you.
So, it's interesting, right? Like one of the ideas we've been jamming on is like no-code indexer potentially, obviously Renee needs to check, could work on some of these things. And then the question is then, well, maybe some of these no-code indexer processors could be shared by other people. You can create like a marketplace because you're spinning up like sort of the same infra for that specific processor. And then like I think the question he asked on getting the holder count for a token, right? I can see lots of people wanting that. So you may not want everyone to be making 1,000 no-code indexers of sort of generally the same kind of query, right? So we did have this idea, like we're still super early there, but yeah, very curious, what people think. And I don't know, Daniel, maybe you have something to add there.
Yeah, we've got a few different things, I guess, on the horizon for this. Like, yeah, the notion of sort of shared no-code indexing processes to like facilitate this kind of thing. We also have a new API upstream, the Analytics API, that could theoretically be good for this kind of thing. More information on that to come soon. We have some work to do to like essentially adding docs and making this more obvious that it exists to people, but that could also help out.
Are you saying that the Analytics API is bigger than just indexing?
It's essentially, I mean, TLDR, it's just a different kind of indexing. So like it's all indexing all the way down, but
well, the word analytics is so much.
Yeah, so like essentially we index into a different storage format that makes like analytical queries better. It's ClickHouse. It's like a columnar database rather than like a normal row-based database. So it makes certain kinds of queries like way more performant to do. I think like once this is a little more production ready, we can start adding more of these queries that people would want to that API.
So does that mean the indexer might start getting phased out because it's not as fast?
No, we'll still have our indexer API for. There are just certain things we don't really index, but like the API is a little awkward in some ways where there's some queries that you can express, but they are really bad. Like they run really slowly, or they cost a lot of compute units or something. We're trying to like deprecate a lot of those tables and like shift people to better alternatives. But there are still a lot of things that the indexer API is good at, which is just like the sort of core indexing stack.
Yeah, so the Analytics API, it's basically indexing the same type of data, but it's just using a different data sink, which is ClickHouse. So the indexer API uses Postgres, and with Postgres, you can make like complicated joins, but it's not so great for aggregates. But for ClickHouse, it's better for aggregate data. So if you have like a query pattern that is pretty common that you want to support, that would be a better data sink. And we're also exploring adding more types of data syncs to no-code indexing. So right now, we only allow you to write to Postgres, but we're thinking of adding more data syncs like webhooks or ClickHouse or any other ones.
So down the line, it's a decision that you offer the developer in build or in the docs. Like, do you plan to do complex joining, blah, blah, blah? This is the route for you. Do you plan to do everything else? This is the route for you.
Yeah, sort of. So like, I guess in the no-code indexer config, you would, the developer would have the choice to select what kind of data sync they want to write their index data into.
Nice. Last couple of minutes. Any other questions?
Dport, are you aware of the billboard example code? You're on
Deeper,
Sorry. Yeah, I have actually seen it.
Okay, so how would you feel about your chess app plus the billboard app merged together?
I'm down. Yeah.
how
Like,
would you merge it though?
well, I would just put them both in a folder and said cursor, merge it, make it black and white and cool looking, and see what it does. No, but like the idea was, I was like, okay, so maybe we're playing a game of chess right now. Maybe we're not. But if we did happen to be playing on-chain chess, which is like live updating as it goes, which is so cool. Like to see the other person move. I thought it was going to be refreshing, but no, you got me there. So I was like, well, billboard, this is great, but like you can't. You're just sending like a move, right? Like assume that you're sending like a short string or whatever. Maybe not, but we could just add the billboard smart contract to the front end and have messages where like each game has a billboard of messages. So we could
We should run a chess tournament.
then now that's an even better idea.
That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm like 100 elo, so I expect to lose that.
Well, I don't know. I'm playing a pretty standard opening here, so I don't know. Should we bring all the horses out? And that's another interesting thing. This is all public, right? Now it's on, but like your UI chooses what to show. So for example, on my highway billboard, it was coded and I didn't quite understand the nuance of the billboard contract, which I think is that there are infinite billboards for each user can initialize their own billboard. And so I just coded up a front end that's like Tippy's, look at my billboard. And I just thought that was the whole thing and other people could post it was a single thread. And then as I started exploring more, I was like, wait a second, the user should choose like, do you want to look at other users' billboards? And like you just sort of simplify that for chess. It's like, do you want to play a game with someone? But Jane's like, well, what if we had like active competitions and like join a tournament and like famous games?
Yeah, it can be very collaborative, and actually I had the same sort of realization as you that there's actually usually with objects and stuff you tend to make many of them, and you got to like sort of design for that in your dApp. Like anyone can actually go look at a game and it will detect that they're a spectator and they can't make moves, and it'll like action that accordingly, right? Same thing with the billboard where people see different things based on their privileges, I guess.
What do you think about this?
I don't think anything, man. I'm trash at chess. This is going to be a disaster.
Well, let's see. I got
You should be live streaming this. Like, why are we not seeing this? Screen share.
he's just pushing me back. I mean, that's a move.
That'd be funny. Like, build AMAs are like a chess tournament. You need to like answer dev questions while playing chess.
Yeah. Well, and this is this sidebar here. That's no code indexing. These transactions, gas station. It's all Aptos Build.
I don't know. What should I move my? Do I want to start the trade? Is a bishop better than a knight?
I believe the pros call it simplifying. It could be time.
I'm just gonna kill you.
Time to get Magnus on board.
I mean, look at that live update. That's so good, dude.
Quick round. You got 3 minutes to win.
Well, let's castle.
Holy shit, he's castling on me. Oh god.
Ryan, Sergey, do you have any other questions?
Or advice on this chess game?
Or we can watch them play chess.
I guess any other features you might want,
Yeah, requests.
Another question. Is it any examples of permission signer contract on Move language?
Permission signer. Maybe. I'd have to get back to you on that one. Sorry.
Sorry, what was the question?
The question is are there examples of permissioned signer, which is a somewhat new thing that we do on Aptos. I think it's somewhat new. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to ask around about that one. I haven't used it.
Yes, it's new, and we want to use it in our application because I think it's useful to delegate our AI agent some funds for yield farming, trading, and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
I think it's a great feature also, and it works only on Aptos, as I know. But there are no examples. Only one document, I think, on GitHub.
Okay, I'll raise that with the team. We should have more examples.
Yeah, that's good feedback, and then we should have it in the dev docs. All right, last minute. Daniel, what's your least favorite food?
Least favorite food?
Yeah.
The first thing that comes to mind is I don't like raw tomato. I like it cooked, but I don't like it raw.
Just haven't had good ones then.
Yeah, homegrown tomato.
Yeah.
Nah, I've tried it. It doesn't do it.
What trash tomatoes are you eating?
I've had some of Brent's homegrown tomatoes, fresh from the farm, and they didn't do it for me even then.
You're a saucy boy. You like it in a sauce.
I like it nice and cooked and sugary.
That's the most American thing you could say for a non.
I know, I'm a true patriot as a non-American.
All right, on that note, huzzah! The first Build AMA. Woo! Woo! More to come. It was great hanging out with everyone. Thanks for joining. Bye.